Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Observability Guru. Today we're going to discuss synthetic monitoring. So synthetic monitoring is one of the best proactive monitoring approach which we can implement in any of our systems. So what synthetic test does is it allows us to observe how our systems and applications are performing using simulated requests and actions from around the globe. So this is basically trying to mimic an actual end user behavior. So if you have a website or a system or mobile application and you kind of have idea what your end users are doing, you don't have to wait until end users figure out something and report it to you as a complaint. What you can do is you can start mimicking these end user behaviors in advance in a scheduled manner in a particular frequency so that you yourself can start getting to know and uncover these problems. So some of the advantage of synthetic monitor is obviously it can detect issues before your end users report, and it can perform tests from multiple locations. Probably it was issued down to particular location, a network coming from a particular location. The fact that we can target our synthetic monitors around the globe and from multiple location, that allows us to uh, monitor the traffic coming from these specific areas. And this is 24/7, so we can use it as a another monitor or approach to measure our availability. And this can track the baseline performance as well. Part of this we can allow to track our performance, and this can act as a kind of looking at our service level agreements and our compliance as well. So moving on, Datadog support quite a few type of synthetic monitors. So the basic kind is API test, where we can simulate a HTTP request and start monitoring a single endpoint, API endpoint. We also have the multiple API test, where we can simulate multiple API calls in a sequential manner so that we can test a chain of request. One of the most widely used and powerful is browser testing. We can simulate user interaction in a browser manner. It's typically the front-end performance, and then we can look at the availability, the page loading times, clicks, and other aspects. So Datadog also provide mobile application testing, so we can simulate user interaction with mobile apps so that we can look at the application loading times, API calls, and other things. So all of these things add a lot of value to our monitoring so that we can be one step ahead of our end users. Now that you have some understanding of how synthetic monitoring is supposed to work, so let's look at uh, one of the examples. So let's look at how synthetic monitor we can build a synthetic monitor for one of our test environment. So here, if you can see, we have a small POC web application, which is the front end, and it has connected to a couple of backend microservices developed using Spring Boot. So you can see if I go into my location, I'm able to pull some location related details. And if I go back, I can come back and look at the rates, and I can go back and come back and look at the hotel services as well. At this moment, it's not available. So it's again a test which we can check. So a high level, it's a very small application, but what we can do is we can take this as example and then start developing some of these uh, the test or the endpoints. So that way that we can look at and start monitoring our application performance in a more proactive approach. Okay, so now let's look at one of the API endpoints which you are able to see. So I did a wget, so it's providing me 200 success error code. So what I can do is I can go to a Datadog and then let's go into the synthetic section. So I will type test synthetic monitoring and test. So this is a brand new account. I don't have anything created, so we can go step by step. So we can select new test, and let's start first create a test related to API monitoring. So here I can select API test, and I'm going to do a get. So let me just this, and then let me just say location API, and I just give a name. So there are a lot of other settings you can define. You can define associations, the location. Yeah, so location is where typically you want to trigger this. So I can either select everything, or probably let me just select Singapore. So this will test it from Singapore. So the all the request will trigger from Singapore location, and then you can define your retries, and you can schedule and other configurations. So but very high level, if you want to get something done, so we can use this. And if you look at it, there are multiple request type as well. So you can go with HTTP, gRPC, or it can be SSL based, DNS based, WebSocket, TCP, UDP, ICMP as well. So this example we are using HTTP, and then we are looking at the get method. And then there are a lot of advanced options as well. We can play around with the request options, authentications, query parameters, request by body, proxy, and these things as well. So these are very rich options which we can configure. But initially for this present example, we can go as it is. And let me just go and save this test. Okay, it's asking me to select a assertion. So let us configure something. So here we can say your test is successful based on the status code, right? So we can make status code as 200. So that way it's aligned with what I have tested using wget directly from the server. So whenever this API when we trigger request to the API endpoint, API location, and the HTTP status code is equal to 200, then we can be sure that test is successful. So let me go and create it now. So it has created the test. Let's just start loading. So it will take a short time before the test start appearing, and you can see that the test start polling green. So let's start monitor for a short time just to see how it is coming. Okay, so if you check now, the API test is start polling green. So you can see it's okay. So I can go inside and I can see how it's happening. So you can see it start polling green. So all the relevant details will be shared here. So now after that, if I want to do any changes, I can go back. I can start changing it or do any other changes required as well. Okay, so if I want to do any changes here, I can go back here and start selecting edit test, and we'll spend little more time just going through and see and the specific areas little clearly. So now you can see it's I'm trying to do a get to API endpoint, and I have just given the name. So I can give the environment, teams, and other additional tags. So I'm saying my define assertion is the test is successful when stated code is equal to 200, and I am doing this from Singapore location, if you can see. And I'm saying in case of failure retest, I have not set a retest time, but I can check, test in case if there's a failure happen, retest in one time with or two times with 300 millisecond wait between failure. So that's a change which I can do. And then I can define my frequency. So at the moment it's running every 1 minute, so I can make it 5 minutes likewise. So that is again a configuration which I can do. And then I can edit my alert body. So when that alert comes in, I can put some meaningful data so that anyone can read it, understand, and start troubleshooting. So this is kind of like the first basic test which we can do, which is about testing the API endpoint. So next we will look at how we can do a browser test as well. So what we'll do is we will go into our new test and try to create a test. The multiple API test is also a little similar, so I will not go there. So we'll start going and looking at the browser test now. Okay, so I go there, and before that let me just take my browser page and then come back here. So starting URL, let me give my URL, say hotel site. So I can check whether I can test it, like whether I want to test it using laptop, tablet, and so I'll at the moment use Chrome and Firefox as well. And again I will just select Singapore location, and then I'll save and start recording. So what this do is I can now start recording, and before that I have to add the Chrome extension. So I'll start adding the extension. So it will take me to the Datadog test recorder Chrome extension page. So I'll add it to the Chrome. So I start adding it. It will take a couple of minutes. Yeah, so it's added now. So now if I go back, let me just do a refresh again. So I'm just added the Chrome extension to record a journey, and then I just want to do a recording of the journeys so that I can create a group of tests, and then I can use it as my synthetic monitor. So now it says your website does not support being loaded through an iframe. Open your website in a pop-up. So open in pop-up. So let me click, and I'll just press record so that I can record my journey there. So let me come back to my pop-up. So okay, so now you are able to see our browser test is working fine as well. And if I go there and start looking at it, it has the details, high level details, but let me go to edit. Okay, let me go back. So here you can see we are able to change the provide the starting URL, and then we can obviously set some advanced settings as well if required. And I have checked the name. Then I can select the type, the device type, whether it's based on the laptop or tablet, a mobile application, or and then what are the browsers I want to do. And I have selected location as Singapore location, so I can select the trigger locations from any of these, and then I can define retry conditions. Here if you can see, it's every 5 minutes frequency, and I can increase the frequency as well, and I can update these sections. So this is pretty much allowing us to create these synthetic monitors. And as part of today's video, what you have seen is we have looked at how to create a API test, and then how to create a browser test, and there are other options of creating a multi API test as well, which is again very similar. So thank you everyone, I hope you enjoy this video. So synthetic monitoring is a very powerful tool which is able to use, and it will help us to develop some of the good and relevant monitors, so that we can be on top of our monitoring. Thank you, and meet you soon.